Koto and welcome to the Shelf of Shame update. Now yeah, I'm branding this as a Shelf of Shame, but I don't really have shame for not playing games when I get too busy. I get a lot of games, so consider this the Shelf of Opportunity or the Shelf of Possibility. So in this video I'm going to run through the games I haven't played yet that I'm thinking might get on the channel when testing resumes shortly. And if you're wondering why testing has been stalled, it's because we had a baby very recently and a few other things like the pregnancy and all that kind of stuff just ate into the channel testing time. So we've got a lot of games to catch up on after losing nearly 10 weeks worth of testing time. And once I've run through the games that I haven't played yet, I'm going to run through the ones that we have played that could go on the channel either now or very soon with a couple more plays. And what I want you to do is, after watching this list, say, hey, that's a game we want to see, or boo, we don't want to see that one. Just let me know in the comments which one of these games you want to see a 3-minute board games video made of, and which ones you wouldn't mind seeing some coverage of, because not every game's going to get the full 3-minute board games treatment, because those videos do take quite a bit of time. Some of the other games could end up in one of my compilation lists. So just let me know if you want to see my take on one of these games. So let's start it off with the games I have not played yet. The astute of you will notice that some of the shelf behind me is empty, and what I'm going to do is roughly grade the games I have not played and put them somewhere on this shelf depending on the level of interest I personally have in them. So let's start off with the first game out there. Yeah, we'll grab Ruins of Mars. So Ruins of Mars, Mansala Movement, it's a Mars themed game. Because it's a Mars themed game, it's going to go pretty straight up the top. I actually don't know much about it. Like, I just saw it available secondhand for sod all money, so I was like, yeah, I'm just going to pick up that. It's a Mars game. What could possibly go wrong? Next we have Dive. This is a prototype of a game that's not yet out, and it features these transparent plastic sheet thingies that you put on the board, and it's supposed to help obscure depths and stuff, but the prototype they sent me was all scratched to hell, so I think I'll just put that one over there. Yeah, less said about that the better. If you're going to send me a prototype, make sure it's not damaged. Godspeed, another game. I saw the full Kickstarter version for, well, I think it's the Kickstarter version, I'm not entirely too sure. Anyway, I saw it for a song, it looked interesting. It's a space exploration, space colony game. I don't know much about it. This was an impulse purchase because the price was right. I'll probably put that about mid-tier because I like the theme and the idea of it, but mechanically I don't know beans all about it. Next up we have Santa Monica. Again, I have not been paying attention to a lot of the games that have been coming in, which is I probably should pay more attention, or it's more that I pay attention when I initially get them and then I store that and go, okay, that's a game worth looking at. We'll revisit that later. I got this just because, again, it was on special and it just looks pretty indifferent. So I think that's a reasonably mid-tier sort of want to have a look at that. Speaking of games that got on sale, a lot of these games you might notice I'm buying during COVID. Not a lot of international publishers that keen to send games all the way to Aotearoa. Yeah, I found out like for some of these games, shipping them here is costing more than the game itself. So they're choosing to use local people. But Pipeline, this looks like a complex Euro with oil pipes and stuff like that, which is really up my alley. So probably put that about there. I think that's one I would really like to get to the table. Whether I'll get the opportunity to actually play it with people is another matter. What else have we got? We've got Pan Am, a little network building game about the Pan Am Airways. This looks like a sort of relatively light Ticket to Ride plus kind of game with a little bit of 18xx thrown in, a very, very small amount of 18xx because there's networks and shares and stuff. This looks pretty cool. I'm not sure what the interest is in a game like Pan Am because I know these guys, Prospero Hall and Funko Games, these guys are kind of chucking out lots of different IP titles, and I think they'll do reasonably well, but I don't know whether any of them have, actual staying power. So we'll put that one down there. So one of the things about covering games on the channel is I like to cover games that are widely available and more likely for a general audience to be interested in. So while I will do the odd niche game I find really interesting, it makes a lot more sense to review a game like Agricola or Gloomhaven than it would to review, an obscure game way down the BGG rankings that's been out of print for a while. So I do keep that stuff in mind. And on that note, Kalis. So this is the remix of Kalis 1303. I haven't played Kalis since about 2006. I know this version has some changes to it. I don't think they're horrifically dramatic, so it'll probably be about the same game. At that time, I didn't care much for it, but 15 years later or so, let's see whether I like the new version of Kalis. And I think this is one that, quite a few people might be interested in. So I'll probably put that one up relatively high on yonder shelf. What do we got next? Ooh. Yes. Stronghold Undead. This is one I backed on Kickstarter, and I backed it just because it looked kind of cute, and I like the idea of it. I think this will be a rubbish one to do a standalone video for, but I do have Stronghold 2nd Edition as well, and I'm thinking if I do Stronghold in about 3 minutes, I could probably tag on some stuff about Stronghold Undead at the end. I don't think this game's going to be available outside of the Kickstarter though, but Stronghold is. So, I'll put that one up on yonder shelf pretty high because I am very keen to play Stronghold Undead, and I think Stronghold by itself would be a fine review. Tack on the Undead stuff at the end, and I think that'll work out pretty damn well. Next up, we have another game I found in a bargain bin, which is Blood Moon, which started life as a fan mod of Battlestar Galactica, like a lighter version of BSG. My friends love Battlestar Galactica. Whether I'll be able to get a big group together anytime soon to try Blood Moon is another question, but I'm really keen to see, Dark Moon, really keen to see how it works because Battlestar Galactica is out of print and probably never coming back. So if this is a viable alternative, I can get a review up, and whenever I talk about Battlestar, I can go, you know what, check out this. If it's rubbish, I won't say that, but I'll put that one pretty high on the shelf. What do we got next? Genotype. Don't know much about this aside from it's a Genius Games game about Mendelian genetics? Mendel. Guided genetic stuff. Anyway, I have a real soft spot for Genius Games just because of the type of games they make. Like, the gameplay might not be all that in some of their games, but I really like the theming, I like the educational aspect of it. So I definitely want to give Genotype a good look at. We'll put that on shelf 2, and I think that's a game I will try to get to. Probably more because I want to, expose the themes and, give Genius Games a little bit more coverage because A, they are one of the publishers still sending me stuff during the pandemic, and B, I like the educational stuff. What else have we got here? Forbidden Sky. This was like in a discount bin for next to nothing, and I thought the Forbidden Game series did reasonably well. I've played the first two and they were pretty good. Still haven't got around to this one, but there were 8 copies of it sitting in this game's 70% off bin or something. So I think that's for 20 New Zealand, which is $10 US. So I don't know. Am I missing a trick there, or is it one of those games that isn't actually all that? So putting that one relatively low on the shelf. I don't think I'll get to it anytime soon. What do we got next? Flourish. This is one from Starling Games, and they were doing a Kickstarter for it, and they sent me the prototype after the Kickstarter was finished. So I guess when it comes out I might reconsider it, but at the moment this is a Kickstarter game between well, I really don't know what to do with this. I guess I'll have to read up about it a bit more, but yeah, getting a game for a campaign that's already over just seemed a bit weird. So there's a huge opportunity for people to go out and get it for a while. Unless I'm mistaken and the game's already out, so I might be wrong there. Here we go. We have Black Angel. This monstrosity, It's really hard to see in this light, but there is a tiny dent down here. Tiny dent down here, and that meant it was 70% off. And you know, I wasn't actually that interested in getting the game to start with. I do like the art style and art direction on it, and you know, dice placement games, you know, I can get into that. But the fact that it had just this tiny dent in the box, and it was, you know, I think I paid 40 New Zealand dollars for that, so 25 US bucks for a copy of Black Angel. Still haven't had the opportunity to play it. When it's popped up on our polls on the Patreon for complex games, it's lost out to things like Barrage and Gaia Project and a few others. So it's always been like the third or fourth most popular games in those polls. I don't know whether I'll get to it anytime soon, and yeah, we'll just put that a bit further down. Moving right along, we have Psychic Saga. I don't even remember agreeing to get this one. It's superhero related. I'm sure whoever sent it to me, we talked about it, but when it turned up, I had no recollection of that conversation. And I'm going to put that down to massive sleep deprivation and worrying about a whole bunch of other things this year other than board games, but don't remember it. It's relatively low on my priority list. We'll just bung that one over there. I keep mentioning games I buy on discount and sale, and I got this. It's Feudum, by the way. I got this, and it's all of the add-ons and everything in here as well for a pretty damn fine price secondhand, and it's in perfect condition. And I kind of got it because there's a how to play video of this that goes on forever, and it seems like a joke. Like, it's so convoluted and so over the top. And I thought, if there's a game I can do in 3 minutes that will wow people, it will probably be Feudum. So don't know whether I'll actually get around to it anytime soon, because I have watched that video and it is mind-blowingly complex and convoluted and just a bit weird, but I also just wanted to own it because it's just a wacky, pretty weird game. So this will go way down yonder priority list. But it's one of those things I want to try as a challenge, is to do Feudum in 3 minutes at some point. No time soon. Dimension. This is probably a game that's not going to get on the channel anytime soon. It's a little puzzle game. I got things like Junk Art a little while ago, and I got into like a few more physical games that have like a physical element to them. And this one, I saw a bunch of people playing at a convention last October, and they were having a lot of fun. And I was like, okay, found it for 20 New Zealand bucks at a discount sale. So yeah, one of our best. There's like, I have all these discounts I keep talking about. We have this local store, Cerberus Games. They have a discount table which is 50% off, buy one, get one free. So the games end up costing you about 25% of what they normally are. And Mighty 8, which is one of our big suppliers, routinely does a 50-60% off sale for games that aren't shifting. And sometimes I like to pick up oddities and rarities from there. Moving right along. Umbravia from Panasaurus Games. They sent this one to me. It looks like a neat little tile placement game. I think this would be a relatively easy one to pick up, play, and test. And I kind of like Panasaurus Games. They're another publisher who's still talking to me and still sending me stuff. So I think we'll put that one up there. I think that'll be a nice, quick, low stress kind of review where it's the thing. For some of these games, like a game like Gaia Project takes a hell of a lot more work to do a video for in terms of testing on the channel than, say, a game like Pandemic or a game like The Crew. The Crew you can play for like 3 hours, and that's like all the testing you'll ever need. You'll know the game inside out after that point. Gaia Project, that 3 hours, that's one game. And your first game, it might be longer than that. So picking games that are slightly easier to play multiple times, especially in one sitting, do help me. But of course, the more complex games are the ones people tune in to the channel more to find out, what is this complex game about. So, it's a balancing act between picking games that are complex and not doing my head in and creating too much stress for myself. All right, we're going to shift some stuff over, and here's one I really, it's going to be such a pain to do because it's Warhammer the Cursed City, and Games Workshop sent this to me, and it is gorgeous. So Warhammer Quest is, well, the evolution of Warhammer Quest is originally there was a game called Hero Quest, which you may have heard of. It was a really big popular toy store game. Games Workshop then did Advanced Hero Quest, then they did Warhammer Quest, and that was like quite a big title for them back in the 90s and 2000s. Then they kind of let that sort of dungeon crawling game fall aside for a bit, and in the last 5 years they've started resurrecting Warhammer Quest and putting out different box sets of it, and this looks really, really good. Like, the figures in here are absolutely breathtaking, and I'll just hold some of those up to the camera. I mean, you probably best go to their site and have a look, but the big kicker for this is assembly. Like, I really want to do this one. I'm just putting it down here because it's big. I really want to cover that one, but I'm also worried about the assembly time. Like, Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Core took me way longer to do as a review than most games because all of the figures had to be assembled. They had to be cut out and put together, and that in itself was almost as much work as the rest of the review. I might be slightly exaggerating, but it was an awful lot of time sitting there with plastic cement just holding things together, especially the alien tails. And Cursed City has a hell of a lot of models that are going to require assembly, so I really want to do it, but I don't know whether I'll get to it anytime soon. Next we have 2 Minutes to Midnight. I was a big fan of Energy Empire, and I've never played the original Manhattan Project. But I read up that the original Manhattan Project is kind of remade in this one, more so than Energy Empire, which is slightly different. But that they fixed some of the things in it that I've got a friend of mine who's played the original Manhattan Project who absolutely will not play it again because he hates a whole bunch of the core mechanics. Apparently they got rid of some of that sketchiness in the second one, so I'm going to put that up there. Also, I believe this company was in a lot of trouble a while back. The creator of the Manhattan Project and also the owner of the company suddenly passed away, leaving a whole bunch of questions around, what was the future of the game, was it going to get republished, and I think they also had an undelivered Kickstarter or two that has been languishing for a number of years. But thankfully I've heard another publisher has picked up the Manhattan Project line, and I know at least Energy Empire is going to be republished, so that's good stuff. Alright, moving right along, we have Streets, which is the sequel to Villages, yes. I always want to say Village, but that's another game. So Villages. Streets from Sinister Fish Games. Really, really keen to play this one. I think even showing you this is probably a bit risque because backers haven't received their one yet. This is definitely going on pretty high up the shelf because I really want to give that a go. Villages was my small box game of the year a couple of years ago. Streets looks like it's got a lot of the same ideas or similar ideas done in a different way. I just really like the aesthetic of it. I like the size of the box, and I'm hoping it's going to be my small box game of the year this year, but we shall find out because we haven't played it yet. But the expectations are high, so that's definitely probably top of my list of games I want to play back there at the moment. Here we have Evil Corp, which is incredibly noteworthy for its unusual box. This looks like it could be either very good or very not, and I've had a read of the rules and I'm on the fence. I need to see how this one plays because I like the look of it, I like the idea of it, I like the theme of it, and I just have to get a group together and give this one a go. So I'm going to put that up relatively high. Also, the Evil Corp guys have been like really, really nice, and I kind of told them, oh yeah, I'll get to your game, and then baby turned up 2 weeks early. So that was scheduled to go on our test table just before baby Anne arrived, but she arrived 2 weeks early, so that test session was cancelled, and Evil Corp has languished on the shelf ever since. And on a similar note to Evil Corp, we have Deep State, a game that was sent to me that I asked for this one because it looked like a reimagining of the Illuminati game, which was Steve Jackson's game from the 80s that has aged terribly, and I want to see if someone could take like a similar idea to Illuminati, give it a modern take and see how it goes. So we're going to put that one up pretty high as well, because I really liked Illuminati back in, you know, the early 90s when I really gotten deep into board gaming. But I played it again not that long ago, and it's honestly, it's trash. Like, say what you will about Steve Jackson Games, they've been around for a long time, but I don't think they've had a good idea in like 20-something years. But that's just me. Meadow. This is a drafting game. It's really pretty. This one was sent to me, and I unboxed on my 50 games I love, 50 things I love about board gaming video. Again, I can't remember much about this game. I do remember saying, yeah, that sounds nice, send that to me, but I've completely blanked on what the actual mechanics of it are. But they were really nice, and they sent me a card, and, you know, if you want to get your games covered on 3-minute board games, a little bit of politeness, a little bit of sending me a card saying thanks for looking at the game, a little bit of personalization and treating me like a human does go a long way. Now, we only have a small number of games left on this side, and they are Bristol 1350. I still haven't got around to unboxing this one, but the people I talked to seem really nice, so I'm going to put that on yonder shelf. We then have Imperium Hero, the card game, and I remember reading the rules of this and thinking it looked all right, but I totally blanked on anything else about it, so we'll put that one somewhere. Gaiachasm. This is the Warhammer Underworld system, so that's like their skirmish game. I've assembled the models in here, but the rulebook's actually quite complex, so I'm definitely going to have to find someone else who's relatively familiar with it, or do an in-depth teaching session, and I don't know whether I've got the spoons for that. I think I'm going to focus on doing Warhammer Cursed City first. And then we have Crypt Hunters, which I've read the rules for this one. It's real bare bones, real basic game, and it's also, I got sent 3 of these types of games at the same time. One was Blitz Bowl, which I have reviewed, and that was exceptional. There's another one coming out, and this one was the way down my list of when I got them. I looked at it and I was like, this is the one that least appeals to me, but I'll probably give it a shout out in a longer form video, but we'll put that down. Then we have a couple of games I don't remember much about. Baby Dragon Bedtime. So this was sent to me by the name escapes me. Tin Star Games. They're one of the Australian folks. They know I don't normally look at like family-friendly games, but they thought they'd just send me a copy to have a look at. I still haven't got around to having a crack at that, but we will take a look at it. Pizza Delivery. This is another one I have no memory of asking for. It looks fine. It's a pizza delivery game. I like pizza. Relatively low priority. We'll put that down the bottom. Then we have Lawyer Up. This is one I got on Kickstarter myself. I backed this because I really like the idea of it. Not sure if this is going to retail. I'll have to actually investigate if that's going to retail first, because if it's a Kickstarter only game, there's not much point covering it on the channel. And the final game I've got here that I know of, that I haven't played, is Lembitu, which I will have to investigate how to pronounce. And I got this one, or I approved this one to get this one, because I do have an interest in promoting designers who don't come from some of the more established countries. And as far as I'm aware, I believe this one is designed in Estonia. I might be wrong. I think that's where it's from. And yeah, I'm open to having a look at games by designers from, not the US, not the UK, not France, Germany, other places, different places. We'll just check that one up there and I'll have a good look at it later. Right, that concludes the games I have not played. Now we'll quickly run through the games I have played and ones that might get put on the channel shortly. Alright, quickly running through these. We've got Jaws. This is actually a real good time. I enjoyed Jaws. It's a really super fun thematic game, but it's not one of those Ravenberger, Prospero Hall sort of games that grab an IP, make a game out of it. Don't know whether they have huge staying power or not, but as far as the Jaws games go, this is solid. So I'm actually quite keen to do a review of that at some point. Or considering Jaws is one of Steph's favorite movies of all time, she might want to do that one. Steampunk Rally Fusion. Now, I backed this one on Kickstarter because I got the original Steampunk Rally in a math trade many, many years ago, and I really enjoyed it. It's probably my favorite racing game. It's either this or Flamme Rouge, unless there's a racing game I'm completely blanking on. This could be a potential to be a game I review relatively soon because I've played a lot of the original Steampunk Rally, and Fusion only adds a few bits and bobs. Trois. I believe I'm saying that right. It's not Troyes, it's Trois. Dice placement game. Played this with the core group a couple of times. They were a bit iffy on it. It probably needs one or two more plays for me to really sort of be comfortable making a review of it. I've done a behind the scenes video on Patreon about our initial thoughts of it. I know this is a super popular title, but my first couple of plays I was a little about it, so there's another reason why I probably haven't got around to Black Angel, because apparently Black Angel is this in space with more complexity. So yeah, we'll probably put that one down there. It looks like, I mean, it's a good game. It's one that a lot of people will look at, but it's not one I particularly enjoyed playing in my first two games, but probably should give it another couple of plays just to see how it works out. Role Player. This is a game I was on the fence about selling. It's been in my to sell pile for a while. I like it. I was on the fence between this and Sagrada on which one to keep. I ended up, I think, keeping this one instead of Sagrada. I'm not sure if this is that widely available in stores. I think it's another one of those Kickstarter exclusives, which is why it's been sort of off my list. But fun game, good game. Definitely one I think would get a few eyeballs on it. Rise of the Orcs, tower defense game, co-op game where you're 5 Terminators against an endless stream of orcs. This is actually real good. Like it's not complex or anything. It's not a deep game, but it gives you that sort of arcadey, I'm playing a super badass guy who's just killing orcs left and right with my Thunderhammer, or shooting rockets from my, what do they call those? Cyclone missile launcher, or firing a assault cannon while horde after horde after horde after orc rushes towards you. So there's no orc player, it's all done with AI. Fun. Like, Games Workshop should make more games like this. They're actually good at it. They're not very good at actually making miniature war games. Alright, King of Tokyo Dark Edition. I played a lot of King of Tokyo. You know, practically who hasn't? I got the Dark Edition just because, you know, if I'm going to have a version of King of Tokyo, I might as well keep it. That's one I could probably review at any time. I've played the game enough. I think it'll get enough eyeballs. So we'll just put this down there. It's one of those ones I can keep in my back pocket until the time I'm like, I haven't played any games, I need to review something. And on that note, Cosmic Encounter, a game I picked up at a second-hand sale recently. The same second-hand sale I sold on Mars at, I think. Yeah. I sold a few games that day, and I picked up one. So I went there with like 8 games, sold 3, bought 1. But I hadn't played Cosmic Encounter since the late 80s or early 90s, so something like 20, 25 years between plays. It's held up pretty well, and this is one of those games that's probably going to be around forever, so definitely a game I can slot it and do a review of anytime I want, but I don't think there's any huge hurry. Then we have Azul 2 and Azul 3, and I'm wondering if I just, you know, do those back to back sometime. Like, I wasn't a big fan of 2, 3's are all good. 1's probably still the best, maybe. They're all not bad, but you know, if you want to see me cover both Azul games or one of them, just let me know. They can go about there because they're both pretty damn sharp. All right, we've got the next game I'm covering. Sorry, spoiler alert. I'm going to cover Spartacus next. Gale Force 9 sent this to me. It just arrived, but I have played so much of the previous version of Spartacus that all I really have to do is read the rules to see if anything's changed, because I think we've played 30 plus games of Spartacus over the years. It's one of my group's favorite games. So yeah, new edition. It's decoupled from the TV show. So the other version I've got is all about the TV show. This one's decoupled from that. Plus, you know, once I'm done with that, I can probably give it away to someone. So And slide that one. Oh, we've run out of space at the top. That's just going to go there. Red Outpost. This is one of those games that I'm probably not going to do a dedicated review on, but I feel compelled to talk about it at some point. Because it's weird, it's novel, it's interesting. It's one of those games that should be talked about a bit just because of how outside the box it kind of is. It's a worker placement game where no one really controls anything. And I love novelty, and I love games that try something different and do a different take on a genre. And this has done a really, really bizarre take on worker placement. Socialist worker placement for glorious Russia. Yeah, I think this could almost be a focus video or talking piece video or something, but definitely going to go in a compilation video I do at some point. You know, even if I have to shoehorn it in and make a list like 10 wacky games that are really inventive just to cover it, because it's different, and difference and novelty and creativity should be rewarded. For Glory, a 2-player gladiatorial deck building conflict game. Mike and I played this. Spoiler alert, we didn't particularly like it. This is going to get mentioned in one of my longer list videos at some point. Yeah, wasn't for us. That can go on the floor. Next up we have Cytosis, which if I was really clever I would have covered probably about a month or two ago, because they were doing a sequel to this called Cellulose and it was doing very well on Kickstarter. But Cytosis is a neat worker placement game by Genius Games, who I am fond of, about building stuff while placing them inside a cell. And it's a solid, good worker placement game with just this fantastic theme on top. However, I'll probably do Genotype first. We'll put this down here. It is definitely a game I do want to cover on the channel because I think the content of it is really good, but you know, probably lower priority than another game. And Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. I'm really curious. Like, I got this one because we're playing Baldur's Gate D&D campaign at the moment as well. A friend of mine's running it. So again, I saw it on special, and I played Betrayal at House of the Hill quite a bit, but I just want to see what the Baldur's Gate thing would do, and actually it works. I'm not sure whether this would be a good one to put on the channel or whether I should try and track down a copy of Betrayal at House of the Hill and do that first. Was it Betrayal at House on the Hill? It's a weird title. Anyway, let me know if you think I should do Baldur's Gate or get the original. Put this one down here. That would be a really easy one to do. And I think we're down to our last game. I might have to pop off camera and see if there's anything else I've missed. And that is Rugby the Game, which is only sold in New Zealand. I'm probably going to put this in a compilation video at some point. It's a fine rugby game. It's just, you know, you're an international audience. Like 98.5% of my audience is not in Aotearoa, New Zealand, which means 98.5% of you can't easily get it. So a little difficult to, and also it's rugby, which is, you know, if you're outside of the UK or France or Australia, New Zealand or South Africa, you probably don't care much about rugby. So relatively low priority, but I do want to support those guys and give them a couple of shout outs because they are a local company, they're local designers. That was their first game and they poured their heart and soul into it. So I'm just going to click my fingers and then materialize back with any games I may have missed. Alright, I found 3 more games just lying over there somewhere. First one's Forbidden Island. I mentioned the other Forbidden game. This is almost too simple to go on the channel. Like, I think there's maybe not quite enough game there, but I also think it's one a lot of people would watch. Then we have Flashpoint Fire Rescue, which I've played a lot on the app, but I've actually only played the tabletop version of this once. Played the app, yeah, like... One of the things about the app is it's got like a dozen or so maps, whereas this has only got the 2 maps, so it's just a lot more content on the app. Probably one that would get a fair few views. It's quite a popular game, so yeah, consider it. And last but not least, Subatomic, which is another Genius Games game, and this is a deck building one about building atoms. Not sure there's enough here, I think, maybe for a full video. It's a very straightforward deck building game, but it is a cool. It's fine. It's a good game. It's just, you know, Sometimes games have to be a little bit better than a good game to really catch my eye. Like, I play a lot of good games. Don't necessarily play that many great games. So there's not a lot negative I can say about Subatomic, but there's also not a lot I can say about it that's great, aside from the theming is pretty cool. Alright, so that concludes our tour through our shelf of possibilities, our shelf of opportunities, our shelf of shame, but really our shelf of just life has been very busy for me this year. Between working and Steph having a baby and the whole pregnancy thing, and then there was surgery and a new job and running the channel, designing Red Dust Rebellion, like that's in there as well. It's been one heck of a busy year, and when that happens, I get a lot of backlog of games, and I should probably stop asking for new games, but you know, or I could just work through them. We'll figure it out. But anyway, let me know which of these games you want me to cover, which ones you think are garbage. Let me know in the comments. And 3 Minute Board Games does not get a lot of review copies these days, and we also don't do paid content. So if you want to keep us independent, support us on Patreon. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the notification button and subscribe to the channel.